part 2 of this horror cult exploitation DVD update. And go ahead and start it off with Don't Go Near the Park. When I first saw this cover or heard the title, I figured it was a slasher, some idiot in a park slicing people up, but I was way off. It's basically about these two cult members that get banned from their cults because they're cannibalizing their own children, basically, to get eternal life. So basically the cult leader, the woman, actually presents a challenge to them that if they can find a virgin on a specific day, like 12,000 years later, that they'll achieve real eternal life. And that's pretty much the story. The male cannibal that gets banned actually marries a character played by Linnea Quigley. They end up having a daughter, and she's pretty much the focus of the story after that. But overall, I thought the movie was decent. I mean, there's a lot of really bad acting in it, stiff acting, awkward dialogue, a lot of unintentionally funny special effects, fake-looking special effects, like when one of the cannibals goes to rip open someone's stomach to eat their intestines. It just the stomach looks so styrofoamy. You know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know. I thought it was just unintentionally funny. And I guess this is Linnea Quigley's first movie. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it says somewhere that it is, and in the credits it says introducing Linnea Quigley. So it's her first film, apparently, and it's the special edition released by Dark Sky. So yeah, it's definitely worth a look. Not the best thing I've ever seen. Not the most believable, obviously. It even says that at the beginning. I mean, it's fiction, but check it out. It's worth a look. Not the best, not the worst. Then we have Night Train Murders, kind of like Last House on the Left, just on a train. And it says here more reprehensible than Last House on the Left. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's basically about these two girls that are going on this train overnight to see some family members, and unfortunately for them, there's these two thugs that actually sneak onto the train with them. They're trying to get away from the cops. The movie starts off pretty slowly. The thugs are on the train. Obviously, they're not supposed to be there. They're messing around with people. Nothing really serious happens until the girls have to switch trains because the train that they're on is having some problems. So they switch trains. They start to think everything's cool, but they find out that the thugs actually switch trains with them. And that's when things start to actually go downhill from there. And it gets really brutal. One of the girls, this is a spoiler, one of the girls' death scenes is actually very, very brutal. But, yeah. And the others is just as brutal, just in a different way. And the ending of the movie is basically set up the same way as Last House on the Left is, as far as like the parents finding out, the parents meeting up with the thugs, and so on. But and definitely give this a look if you're a fan of Last House on the Left. It's a very similar film in a lot of ways, but also really different. It's the Blue Underground release. Recommended. And then we have Mark of the Devil. This was a very, very good film about witch hunters. It's the Blue Underground release. I really didn't know what to expect when I first picked it up. It's basically about these witch hunters. This one witch hunter in particular in this town, he goes around accusing women of being witches for no apparent reason because he feels like it. He calls them whores. He rapes them. He does whatever he wants and convinces the masses, people in the town, that these people are witches with no evidence, no nothing. So these other witch hunters come into town trying to take over his rule, and they actually succeed. but because they pretty much decide that from now on, you know, you're going to have evidence, you're going to have a written confession from these women to kind of prove that they're witches. But it doesn't. The way the movie goes towards the beginning, you kind of think that things are actually going to get better for these women, but it doesn't really turn out that way. There's a lot of different themes going on in the movie. One is like power and how it corrupts, and how if you tell a lie enough times, or you tell it to enough people, and you tell it a certain way, you can actually make it seem true. And that's like the whole thing behind claiming that certain women are witches, and those witch hunters and stuff like that. And it's like they were convincing the masses that specific women were witches, you know, and somehow they were able to convince, you know, a bunch of people that this was true without any real evidence, you know. But yeah, as far as like the ending of the movie, it's kind of sad just because of the, you know, the events that took place, and kind of unfulfilling. Some important characters die, but that's all I really say. It says on the back here that the movie was so extreme that audiences were given free barf bags. I mean, it's not really all that extreme as far as like visually graphic. There's a few torture scenes that are pretty intense, and there's one scene, this scene right here, where the girl gets her tongue ripped out. But yeah, it's mainly like the representation of torture that you're seeing, just the idea of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some pretty graphic, somewhat graphic torture scenes, but it's not like crazy over the top. But definitely give this a look if you're into like witch hunter movies, or anything like that, or movies based on witchcraft. And there's quite a few extras on here. Obviously, it's a Blue Underground, so definitely do not hesitate to pick this up if you guys see it. And next up we have Mountain of the Cannibal God, the Blue Underground release. When I first picked this up, I figured it was going to be just a huge, like, trash fest, just a really shitty movie, corny. But it was actually a very good cannibal movie. It's based around this girl or this woman that's trying to find her husband, who it turns out disappeared on the Mountain of the Cannibal God. She actually makes her way up there. She brings along, I forget, it's her, I guess it's just her colleague, like it says on here. I thought it was her cousin or something, but another dude to come along with her. And they actually make it up there, and it's not really what they expect, obviously. But it's some pretty brutal, like, animal killing scenes in here. A lot of snakes just like owning other animals. And the last 30 minutes or so, are pretty, let's just say, intense. A lot of some sexual things going on, and I'll just leave it at that. And I gotta say, one of the women that played one of the cannibal women was kind of hot. I ain't even gonna lie, but definitely give this a shot. It's actually kind of like a typical cannibal movie, like Cannibal Ferox. Not as brutal as those, really, but it's in the same vein as those. But yeah, definitely check this out. I was not disappointed at all. Again, another Blue Underground. And then we got The Being. This is a Shriek Show release. I'm kind of mad I picked this up because it's in a box set. You got to be careful with those Shriek Shows, because the Shriek Show releases, because a lot of times you'll find these in box sets. You can get them for cheaper than you pick it up individually. But anyway, I mean, there's nothing really, there's not much to this movie. It's just this alien being going around killing people. Really cheesy. Some decent kill scenes, but nothing like really spectacular. Definitely one to watch with your friends, like it says on the back, but decent picture as well. Shriek Show release. Pick it up in a box set if you can find it. That's the better way to go. And we have The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. Not what I expected. It's basically about this guy whose wife, or I don't know if it was his mistress or his girlfriend, she dies, and he picks up all these women. After she dies, he goes around picking up all these women that look like her to kind of have sex with him, and proceeds to torture him. And you think he's going to kill him, but he gets stopped every time because he sees this image of Evelyn, and eventually meets this girl that he wants to marry, and that's pretty much the whole story. And then Evelyn, or the ghost of Evelyn, he thinks, comes out of her grave to kind of terrorize him and finish some unfinished business. But a little more to it than that, an unexpected ending. And I'm running out of time, so I'll go ahead and finish talking about this on the next video.